the players, the personalities who come from around the world to play professional soccer in the United States.
Go, go, USA! Oh, it's incredible!
In a world where some call it football, football, or soccer, they dare to call it foosball. One thinks New York is blue. The other thinks New York is red. Soccer in America from a German perspective. Let them put some sauerkraut on your hot dog and join them for the Schnitzel Boys USA Hour.
There we go.
Yeah, there it is. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's a little more extended. We can fade out slower.
I'm fading it out a little bit, and now it's going to fade itself out the rest of the way. That's very nice. Very professional opening.
That's right. We are professional.
Well done. Nicely done. Nicely done.
Thank you. We are professional here at the Schnitzel Boys. A professional operation.
I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it.
Despite the criticisms on Reddit, we are a professional podcast.
Criticisms.
Yeah.
Those people have too much time on their hands.
It's all good. It's all good. It's nice that people are talking about us on Reddit.
Yeah.
But they were criticizing our low follower amount. And it's like, hey man, we're building, baby.
We are a boutique podcast.
We're a specialized podcast for the real smart.
Artisanal. We are locally grown, artisanal boutique podcast.
We're baked. We're artisanally baked.
I should speak for yourself.
I always speak for myself. Yeah. Well, we are two smarty pants McGee's with an artisanal podcast.
Oh boy!
And this is the USA Hour.
That's right.
Things are boiling down. MLS.
Have you looked at the MLS table lately, Stefan?
I have. Let me.
I've been looking at it about twice every hour myself. Because I don't know how what your policy is about this. When my team sucks, I don't look at the table. I know it's not good. I don't really need to do math. But now, all of a sudden, we're in a playoff spot.
That's right. You are 9th place.
We're 9th place.
Last year that would not have been a playoff spot, but this year
this year it is. Listen, we're not this. Yeah, please.
Although 8th and 9th are play-in spots.
Are the play? This is listen. It's interesting. I had clearly not yet internalized the ever. I mean, in fairness, it's ever changing. The MLS, right. The MLS playoff format. If you don't like it, just wait 20 minutes.
Yeah,
because it'll
always evolving.
It'll be different again. And so I had said to people for the longest time now that it's too bad that the Yankees, neither the Yankees nor the Mets are making the playoffs here in New York, and so our stadia would be available. But I was like, there's no chance we could get a home game. But that is not true at all. We could very well get a home game because there's this play-in 8th versus 9th. So if we finish 8th, we'll host the play-in game. Plus the first round series is now 3 games, best of 3. Yeah,
so you're gonna have to host one.
So we would get a home game there as well if we were to survive the play-in game. So this is not true at all. This idea of there's no way we could get a home game. That would have been true last year, because there certainly is no chance mathematically that we would get into the top 4. But this year that is not necessary.
Yeah.
So we had 5 home games in a row, which another quirk of MLS scheduling, and in fairness, probably has to do with our stadium availability. And we got 11 points out of those 5 home games.
It's a good record.
And that is good. That is good enough to propel us for now past these other struggling like DC, Chicago, they have not been winning a lot. So we have been able to leapfrog them. Everybody has games in hand, not DC, but everybody else has 1 or 2 games in hand. So the rational math brain knows we're still 67. I think I looked it up. 68% likely not to make the playoffs, even as it stands right now, even though we're currently in a spot. But who cares? I'm not
Also-
the math brain be damned. We're gonna
Also, what does
as
that
long as we
mean?
keep winning. What's that?
What does that mean?
Also,
That
what does that mean?
no
Right. I mean, we're only
MLS.
we don't live in 100 timelines. We just live in one timeline.
Yeah.
So if 69% of the other timelines we would not make it, but we make it in this one, it doesn't matter. If we keep winning, we're going to be in.
That's
Most
right.
likely, that's not 100% true.
Well,
We
you
are
have three-
not. We
You have
do
3
need
games left. Who's
help
left?
from other, but if we win them all, we're most likely in. If
You
we
got
win
help over the weekend.
we got a lot of help. Our game was postponed because somehow there was a water line break at Red Bull Arena. The final stop of our stadium tour. We had we completed our stadium tour, and after Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, we concluded it at Red Bull Arena.
The only soccer stadium in the
only
area.
soccer stadium of the 3, which I got no quarrel. I got no quarrel with playing there, but I'm in the minority because they were, and then it was postponed from Saturday night 7:30 to Sunday at
Afternoon,
1
right?
p.m. Yeah.
Where did they come up with
And I think there were already not going to be all that many people, and there were not 1,000 people in that stadium. I don't think.
Is that how low it was?
It trickled people. I don't know what they said officially, but like when we got there, because I kept joking that there would be 75 people there. And when we arrived, which was like a half an hour before kickoff, I think it was really, we were like, oh, you were serious. There really are only 75 people there. And then,
well, it's a nice personal stadium
it's
experience.
intimate experience.
I'm looking at a picture here of the fans.
Yeah, there was not a, yeah, you can definitely find us. If there's there was a clip online of the first goal, and I'm definitely in it pretty prominently. Yeah. No, it was so yeah, Saturday. So it was Sunday. So we played after everybody else, and all the results on Saturday night had gone our way. Montreal had lost. DC had lost to you all. Chicago, I guess, got a tie, but still good enough. Miami dropped some points last night. That was afterwards. So it all went our way, and so I went to the stadium with trepidation, not just because the low turnout, it was also kind of bad weather, and I was like, this has real low point of the season potential if we cannot
but it's
win.
Toronto. What's it like for Toronto right now? They literally are touring the country and being just a punching bag for everybody.
I mean, they are bad. Like I don't know. I had all kinds of worries because we had beaten them in the Leagues Cup 5-0, pretty comprehensive destruction. So I was like, that is hard to do twice in a row. Like usually there's some, I don't know. In MLS, the teams are close enough that you don't just win like that twice in a row. I mean, anyway, I had all kinds of worries, but they turned out to be unfounded. We went ahead in the first minute, and Toronto are bad.
Right. So
I'm
saying they're really, really bad.
They are bad. Tron Johnson is not even playing; he's hurt. So they had their goalie I never heard of. I mean, Bernadeschi. I don't know what happened to Insigne. He was nowhere to be found.
He was at the Miami game. Right after the game, he went and said hi to.
He was not. He did not. He was not in the squad. Bernadeschi got the start, but was pretty invisible. I mean, had some moments, but Michael
But they're an easy
Bradley.
3 points.
Michael Bradley's still starting. Yeah,
He's
and
still
they
kicking.
and it's a false sense of. I mean, this happened. After the Leagues Cup too. You know, we had just gotten our new striker and we beat them 5-0, and we were at the time we were like, oh, this is the turnaround. We're now amazing again. Not the case. It was just Toronto. Toronto are just bad. And so again, we're now in a playoff spot. We have to stay realistic that this doesn't mean.
Yeah, it's just you're in a
doesn't mean
spot
that
for
much.
now.
They're just
Like I said, if we still have Toronto at home remaining, so I'm like, sweet, that's 3 points in the bag. And then like I said, and if we win and you guys don't play, we take the playoff spot because we have a game in hand. And we beat you on head to head. It's about head to head. We have.
What? It's not about head to head. What are you talking about?
It is head to head.
No,
because your goal difference. Look at the goal difference.
It's wins. It's wins is
or
the first. Wins is the
wins,
first
yeah.
tiebreaker, and goal
Wins.
differential is second.
All right. Well, then that would put us one above you then, because we'd be at 9 wins and you'd be at 8 wins. So either way.
Yeah, but that's assuming that we don't win.
Well, no. Again, it's a game in hand. What I'm saying is, like, if you guys don't play and then we win at home against Toronto, then we're above you. We have 9 wins to your 8, and we're above you.
But we're playing at the same time. We're both playing Saturday 7:30. You're playing your game in hand the Wednesday after or whatever,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So you first have to win the next game.
I'm just saying we're in exactly the same spot. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Because we are. We have a home game against Toronto, but this weekend we have a home game against Chicago. And let me tell you about Chicago's last 6 games. On August 26th, they lost.
Not done well.
No, on August 26th, they lost the LA Galaxy, which is the second to last team in the West, 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to Vancouver, 1-0. How do you lose to Vancouver? They lost to DC United, 4-0.
Well, we've tied Vancouver at home, so it's not. I can't point the finger there.
True. And then they tied Montreal 0-0. Then they lost Columbus 3-0. And then this past weekend they tied to New England 2-2, and New England is a notorious dumpster fire right now. And now they have us at home. So that I'm not going to.
So they're in.
Points.
This is in Chicago.
No, this is in my home
at RBA. Okay.
Yeah. So those are our 2 home games: Chicago and Toronto.
So those you should win.
Be 6 points.
Perhaps.
Should be. And then we have 2 away games. Those are going to be tough. One at Cincy, and then one at Nashville, which is, I think, number 1 and number 2 respectively in our conference, right? Let me see. No, it's Cincy.
No, Nashville is struggling. Is still not hasn't clinched. Haven't clinched the playoffs. They're going to though.
Exactly. However, the gap from 7th, which is the last playoff spot, to 8th and 9th, 2 play-in spots, right now is 6 points. So it's a 2-game gap already. There's only, like I said, 4 games left.
From 7th?
Yes. 7th.
Yeah, Nashville's gonna. None of us are gonna catch Nashville.
7 points. Sorry, not 6 points. 7 points. 7-point gap.
Yeah.
So the top 7 are booked. We're talking about 8th and 9th.
Yeah.
And 8th and 9th is 8th place Montreal, 9th place NYCFC, both at 37. Then 10th place DC at 36. And then 11th and 12th are New York and Chicago at 34 points. Then Charlotte and Miami have 33 and 32. So from 8th to 14th spot, everybody is up for those last 2 play-in spots, pretty much. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 MLS teams can still squeeze in there. Miami's on the bottom, and they dropped 2 points over the weekend.
Yeah,
but they're a tough nut to crack. They're going to at least tie the rest of their games, probably.
Yeah, but that's not gonna be enough. If they tie, that's 5 points. They're only going to get to.
We hope. I said at least tie.
We're next. This is a big game. We're going to Miami on Saturday, so that's
3 points for them.
Well, you would think, and I would generally agree. However, here are my caveats.
Please.
Miami is playing the Open Cup. We have a week off. Miami is playing the Open Cup final on Wednesday. So, and they kept everybody out for this Orlando game.
Right?
No Messi, no Busquets, no Jordi Alba.
And they still managed to have
they
a
still,
good 1-1.
they still mean, they still are pretty
In
good.
Orlando.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Orlando.
Orlando's
Probably,
second best in the East right now.
we beat Orlando on Wednesday, so that's neither here nor there on that count in as far as very recent results go. I mean, I'm just saying there's a good chance if Messi's not 100%, and they have said that obviously the Open Cup is the priority. So if Messi plays on Wednesday, there's a good chance he's not going to play on Saturday. So it's a good chance we're going to get the non-Messi Busquets Alba version on short rest.
Right.
On
and
Saturday.
Atlanta is the only team to have beaten that team.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying
is this in Florida, right? You have to go
it's
to
in
Miami.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not saying we're going to blow them away, but if we could, I mean, even a tie in that game would be big, because at least that like keeps us ahead of Miami we're now 5 points up ahead of Miami with 2 games. They have 2 games in hand.
Anytime they drop points, it helps.
Anytime they drop points, yeah, exactly. So even if we could get away with a tie,
do it.
Then that would help us.
If you tie and we win, you keep Miami down, and then we get to kick you out of the playoff spot and take it. So
no,
do it.
You don't. Only
oh,
if
no,
you
we
win,
don't. We don't.
Only if you win 2
only
if you win 2 in a row. If you win your game in hand the next Wednesday.
We have to wait for the Cincinnati match for that.
Right.
Or whatever.
So your game in hand is at Cincinnati. So you're not going to necessarily.
Our last game. Yeah, we have 2. I don't remember which one's which. One is
I mean, this is the other thing about Miami. Miami has a lot of games. They have this Open Cup. They're basically playing Wednesday, Saturday from here on out. So Wednesdays. So Messi's not going to play in every game. So I'm again feeling more confident about my initial prediction that Miami is going to miss the playoffs. Because
we have Chicago at home, Cincy on the road that Wednesday, Toronto at home. Then it's the international break.
Right. Again. So your game in hand is at Cincy.
I guess so, because then everyone plays. Then there's one round left when the international break is over.
Right.
And that's at Nashville. I guess everybody except for one team, plays that weekend.
Well, DC United is done a week early. They don't play. They're
the ones who don't play.
They have the last weekend off because their last game is at home against us. Because
Let's hope they lose.
We have Miami on the road, DC on the road, Chicago at home. That's the rest of our schedule.
Yeah, so we both have Chicago and we have Toronto. Just finished Toronto, so we have similar schedules kind of towards the end. But long story short, there's 2 spots open. Is the moral of the story. There's 2 spots left. The play-ins. The main playoff spots are all booked for the most part. Nashville will do that officially, I think, by next week. And then 8th and 9th are up for grabs for essentially everybody except for Toronto. Everybody who's left.
Yep,
it's up for grabs. So let's let the wacky ass last 4 games,
the weird
last 3
schedule.
games,
and another weird wrinkle.
Yeah.
In another weird scheduling wrinkle, Charlotte and Miami, who are now 13th and 14th with 33 and 32 points, they play each other twice for the last 2 games.
In MLS? No.
Yeah.
No.
I think
really?
so.
No.
Unless
why would that be the case?
That's how they're doing it.
MLS. Oh, come on. Let's take a look here. Okay. You're right. The heck.
And
what the heck is what the heck is this?
I think there was there's probably because they both have that extra game in hand, so that must have been postponed from some other. That was probably scheduled for some other time.
This is ridiculous.
And has then been so they're not both going to pass us. We know that.
They play each other in Miami on October 18th, and 3 days later in Charlotte
after.
On October.
Yeah, so it's
on decision day.
It's the home and home series. So they're not gonna. Only one of those 2 teams is going to pass us. So that's most likely. So that's
it's hard to get respect. MLS gets attacked from all corners, and this is a perfect example as to why. It's like they couldn't logistically figure out a different way to not have the. That'd be like if the Bundesliga was like Bayern München versus Bayer Leverkusen or whatever, And then the week after that, it was again Bayern München versus Bayer Leverkusen, two league games in a row.
Yeah,
that has never happened. I mean, maybe it's happened once, but I don't know. Is that's our MLS.
That's
we
what's
love
happening.
It. We love it despite its flaws.
Good evening.
That is funny.
Good evening, Hans Wolf. I saw Hans briefly at one of the. I think it was City Field.
I was gonna say, did you
City
make
Field,
it out to the
City
Water
Field?
Bowl?
We shook hands briefly. Oh, the Cologne, right? Yeah, tell us.
The Water Bowl is Sunday. It was I'm not from the East Coast anymore. If I'm not mistaken, East Coast just monsoon rain, the whole East Coast, right?
It's been pretty wet. It's definitely been a pretty wet summer. It's
been lovely and sunny.
I don't know if
this
is the new normal, but it's been there's been a lot of rain.
So in Washington D.C., where the Cone meetup was, they went to the DC United game. Hans, were you there for that? If you were, let us know. I think we had a couple of our boys down there at the Cone USA meetup. I saw pictures online. It looked really cool. Looked fun. I believe you guys went to a Cone viewing party at the beer hall, and then you went to a DC United game, but that was on the Wednesday. So I'll talk. We had a big game on the weekend, but this past week for the New York Red Bulls, last weekend was our 0-0 boring derby that we talked about. Then on Wednesday, we tied. It was such a bad game. It was against Austin. We tied 1-1 at home. A sleepy, poopy game at Austin. And, Dante Van Zier broke his back during that game. He has a lumbar spine injury. He's gone for at least the rest of the season. Back injuries are no joke. I mean, no one can fix a back. So I hope it's not as serious as it sounds. But he came out swinging. He forced the own goal. He didn't really score. His name was on the score sheet. But it's like when Dante is good, he's our best goal scorer. And then he had to get right off the field. And then Austin scored a tying goal. And it was just such a limpy, slow game. And they were not playing with any urgency. And, it's the playoffs. So I'm just like, my thing is, there's no relegation in MLS, right? So finishing just outside the play-in spot versus dead last is identical. There's no difference between either or, right? It's not like you make less money or something. It's like there's no go for it, right? Go for it. It's if it's 1-1, it's a tie, but you need to win. Throw them forward. Carlos Cornell, get in the box. Like there's no risk here. In Europe, teams play not to lose, right? On the bottom.
Right.
So here in MLS, we don't have to worry about any of that, right? We should look at our lack of relegation and think, what are the positives? One of them is these teams have nothing to lose, so they should play like it. And I'm not really seeing that. So that's an interesting psychological aspect to it. And so I was screaming out loud that Austin game. Like they just wound down the clock and they had a long throw-in right at the death. But like, this could be it. And then someone just does a silly foul in the box. Ref whistles it, done. Anticlimactic like the whole second half of the game. And I was just like, ah! And I was like, whistle 1-1 and shook hands. They left. It's like, we don't need a 1-1. But anyway, cut to this weekend. And then that day, to do a little MLS story time, I went to the LA Galaxy Minnesota game right after that because it was on Wednesday night. And I was like, this game better be fun because I just saw snooze fest, my Red Bulls, and I was so mad. And that game was a blast. The LA Galaxy Minnesota United game.
That was a wild game. I mean, I only saw on FOTMob, and it seemed wild. Yeah.
It was the Galaxy were doing well. They're holding the ball. And in a lot of ways, the Galaxy are like the New York Red Bulls of the West Coast because they are second to last in the West, but since they have the reckoning and since they fired Chris Klein and all that, they've been on a pretty good winning tear. Like other than 1 or 2 losses, they've actually been really good over the past couple months. And it was 3-1 by the half. Timo Pukki scored a couple of great goals.
Yeah.
Norwich City's Timo Pukki was crushing it.
Yeah.
And then the second half, Sheffield United's Billy Sharp is like, oh yeah, whatever you can do, I can do better. And then he at 37, because Timo Pukki is what? How old is Timo Pukki? 36?
Not that old. No.
Not that old?
No. I'm going to look it up.
He's 33. He's 33.
Yeah.
And then Billy Sharp at 37 is like, whatever you can do, I can do better. And he poached 3 Rockstar goals in the box.
And then drank some beer, right? I saw a picture. Like he
did he?
I think he had he poured some poured some beer out of a pitcher over his face. I mean,
Well,
like
I
a
missed
true-
that. But the game was 3-1 at the half, and it ended 4-3 with the second half 3-goal salvo from the LA Galaxy. And it was a 4-3 game. It was a fun game. I had a blast. I had a spiked Jarritos. You know what Jarritos is?
Yeah, that shit will fuck you up. I mean, it's
It
got
did
so
fuck me
much
up.
sugar. Yeah.
I had it was a tall boy orange soda Jarritos, but it was spiked.
Oh
So it was like
boy.
a hard
Yeah.
Jarritos, which I didn't know existed, but I drank at a blast.
It's like
And
the star. I mean, it's like the Starbucks Frappuccino. The high sugar caffeine combo is like really will go straight to into your veins.
I felt it for like 2 days after that. It was pretty crazy. So that was.
I don't drink that much these days, and I had a twisted iced tea
Nice.
at the at Red Bull Arena, and that also was quite. I mean, I can't say that I felt it for 2 days, but it was very potent.
I also had a burrito when I was there. It was a
Mm.
little expensive. I think it was $18 for at this place.
Ooh,
But it was a delicious veggie burrito from the truck. It was good because I came hungry. And I always regret that because it's just like, well, the only options around here are at the stadium, and those are going to be terrible, like price wise. But it ended up being a really good big burrito. Get expensive, but it's what you pay stadium prices. Anyway, so that happened. I was like, well, that was a fun night. I enjoyed myself. And it was a really beautiful night. I got a nice picture of it on my Instagram. Maybe I'll share the Schnitzel Boys with all the palm trees and the colorful sky. But anyway, so cut to this weekend, and it's New York Red Bulls versus DC United, the DC Scum, our oldest rival. We went down to DC. It was a monsoon. It was raining a storm. And whenever that stuff happens, it's just not even a soccer game anymore. It's when it becomes more of a battle. That's what we saw. We saw them going back and forth at each other, drenched in rain. Christian Benteke got a hat trick.
yeah,
Scored
I saw
all 3 DC United goals, and Omer Fernandez kept matching him 1 for 1. When Christian Benteke scored, Omer Fernandez scored. Then Christian Benteke scored again. Then Omer Fernandez scored. Then Christian Benteke scored, and then Omer did not score, but he was up. But then a bunch of other people scored. I forgot even who all the goal scorers were. I should look it up. But it went back and forth, and then it was 4-3 with about 20, 25, 30 minutes to go. And then Troy Lesane takes all his attackers off and just puts defenders on, like very much holding the score. And that's very dangerous because you're only up by 1 goal. There's plenty of time left. You're away from home.
Yeah.
And they went very defensive, and DC United had a few opportunities to equalize. But thankfully, at the death,
John Tolkien.
I think it was John Tolkien because
Yeah.
Dylan Neal scored, I guess, the go-ahead goal from a set piece, which was nice. And then John Tolkien, a minute from time, gets the kiss of death, and we win 5-3, one of the rarest results in soccer. You don't see too many 5-3s.
5-3s. Although, well, yes, that's true.
8-goal thriller. New York Red Bulls score 5 goals away from home. Their entire season away from home goal tally, I think, was 8 up until now, or something low like that. And we just did more than half in one game. And I was like, how? And I deserve this. Because of all the sleepy ass games we've been having, it's nice for them to open up and just play soccer and go out there and be warriors and freaking score 5 goals. It's like, hell yeah. Well done. Just like you're 3-0. It's like, let's do it. Come on, Youngs. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So 5-3 at DC United. They won the Atlantic Cup. They're also the winners of the what was it called between us? The Hudson Derby Cup.
Hudson River Derby trophy, I guess. Yeah.
We won that trophy.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. We won the Atlantic Cup trophy, which is our other fan trophy.
Amazing.
We won that this year. So there you go. We won the rivals this year. Now we got Chicago at home, we got Toronto at home, and then for crying out loud, let's sneak out a point at Cincinnati. And then, heck, maybe even get 3 over Nashville. We'll see. And then there you go. The New York Red Bulls. We don't have Dante, but the Warrior spirit is still there. Cameron Harper came out and be like, we have to play every game like it's do or die, which is true. That's been the case for a while now. I don't know why he's saying it now, but
yeah.
And it seems like they're up for it. So, all right, let's do it.
Amazing.
We're not quite out of the playoffs yet.
Yeah, we're still believing. We both said weeks ago that we don't believe, but then you give us a little bit of give us a little bit of hope, and of course, here we are
But what I will
talking
say,
ourselves into it.
which I texted earlier, is like, I know for the New York Red Bulls over the last 3 or 4 seasons, we've always squeaked into the playoffs, and then we get eliminated that Wednesday. Like, all it does is give us 3 more days or something, and we just get eliminated in the play-in game the next 3 days. This year could very well be the same thing. So as fun as it is to get in the playoffs, the reality is, realistically, we're still not going to win the MLS Cup. It'd be an absolute miracle if we get in the playoffs. We're going to go on this random tear and play all our away games and win the cup. It'd be weird. It'd feel like we're stealing it, that we don't deserve it a little bit. That's how I feel. So the bigger issue is the same for me. It's like we still need to, the franchise, the team, the organization still needs to change. It still needs help. Squeaking into the playoffs be damned. As exciting as that is. This year, there's only, I did it in my head, there's only about 6 or 7 teams that can win the MLS Cup. I'll put money on it. I think it'll be, let me put my thing on. It'll be Cincy, Orlando.
Orlando?
Yeah, they're second place. It'll be
Yeah,
Cincy.
they've been not that impressive lately.
The team that's going to win it this year, fine, I'll boil it down to make it even riskier. It'll either be Cincinnati, it'll be St. Louis, it'll be LAFC, could be maybe New England if they get their act together. Could be Philly, maybe. They also get their act together. Could be Columbus, a sort of a outsider-y Cinderella team under Will Fernandez. And there you go. That's pretty much the gang.
I can only all I will say about this is that you clearly have not been watching Andres Jason lately.
No, because I watched the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scored 3 goals over the last 4 games or
yeah,
something.
watch out.
Yeah, but a good player, you need more than a good player, unless you're Miami.
We now have Talles Magno might be back. He had a couple of assists. He got a goal on Wednesday. He scored on a header. He came off the bench, scored on a header, the second goal.
Cried like a little baby, right?
We went wild. It was very emotional. The teammates rallied around him.
Tell him to man up.
And then what's that?
Tell him to man up a little bit. Come on.
No, we don't. We are not like that here on the blue side of things. We are comfortable with our emotions. This is not. I don't know. No, that's not how we roll. We are an emotional bunch, and he was clearly very emotional. And then Nick Cushing started a mini Twitter shitstorm by saying in the press conference before the Toronto game, after Talles came off the bench, looked great, scored a goal, him and Munsef Bakra, our striker, seemed to immediately have something going, like we're able to combine well. And then Nick Cushing said in the press conference that he couldn't play them both at the same time because he doesn't play with 2 strikers, basically still insisting that Talles Magno was a 9, which he really isn't. He's a winger. And the internet, the NYCFC Twitter just collectively face palmed and were like, what is happened? What is wrong with this man? But it turns out it was
back to Cushing, like they responded.
Yeah, they were like, what do you mean he's not, you don't have, but as I got to take credit when I can, I predicted at the time that this was a misdirect. This was Nick Cushing basically telling Toronto he wasn't going to start both of them. And then he did, of course, on Saturday.
Wait a minute. Nick Cushing has a Twitter account?
No. Nick Cushing said this in the press conference. He has a
NYCFC tweeted it out or something.
No, he does. He does a press conference, and then people.
So and then he was not involved. He has a lot of. He was not involved in the
No,
Twitter
he was not. He was not. No, but
I thought he tweeted it out and people responded.
No,
to
he
him.
gave a press conference, and then somebody, there's a lot of anti-Cushing people among NYCFC Twitter, and then somebody was like, "Can you believe what he just said?" And that's what started.
It just blows my mind. You just introduced a concept in my head. What if all the head coaches had their own personal Twitter accounts?
And would just
they just communicate directly with the fans all the time.
And would just be like, I can't start Talles and Bakra together. We don't play with 2 strikers. Right. And everybody would be like, what?
I know.
But it turns out he only said this, I guess, to right. It was a misdirect. And then they both started, and combined well. Thales had 2 assists, was great.
Nick Cushion with the
Bakra,
mind games.
yeah, I
Okay.
guess a little bit.
There are not
I
enough
mean,
mind games in MLS.
he's not an idiot. I mean, even despite
That
what
we
a
know
lot of
of.
people now think. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. And Andres Jason got another goal. Julian Fernandez, the new winger who we were kind of like, I don't know, is he any good? He all of a sudden ran across half of the field and scored a banger for the 3rd goal. So I don't know. But again, this is Toronto making us look like a contender, but in the end, it's just Toronto being bad.
Excellent.
We're not that good. Toronto's just bad.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm going to be there for that game because that's the game I'm going to be at.
Great.
So I look forward to seeing that. The West. Let's go over the West. St. Louis clinched their playoff. They're tied for the most ever points of an expansion team with LAFC.
In the things are a little tighter. There's not nobody else has clinched.
Yep. Colorado's eliminated. They're the Toronto of the West.
Right.
But yeah, but then LA Galaxy is second to last
Even
place.
the Galaxy
It's crazy.
has still a chance.
They're only 5
Not
points
really,
off. They're only 5 points off. Well, if they keep winning, the Galaxy has been in decent shape lately. And if Austin is what we've seen from Austin as of late, I think Austin is it's not looking like Lee. But the LA Galaxy just got one over on Minnesota. But from 8th to 13th, it's 41 to 34 points respectively. Yeah. So it's much tighter over there. And Vancouver. And
but even up there, the 7th team can still hope to get into the 4th, 3rd. Yeah, it's 45.
They're all much tighter.
It's very close.
In the East, the top 7 is a club. They're booked. In the West, Houston's 4th place is 43. Salt Lake in 5th with 43. Portland with 42. Vancouver, San Jose with 41. Dallas at 39. So they're like, that's a whole
2 to 6 in the East. All have more points than LAFC, who are second in the West. But there's 6 teams in the East who have more points than LAFC.
Yeah, the East is more of a case of the haves and have-nots, and the West is just everybody is a little more of a free-for-all. And LAFC, despite starting the season strong and being defending champions, they're not very. They have the Campeones Cup on Wednesday, so they're busy.
This is by the way scandalous that we are the reigning champions of the Campeones Cup, and we are not allowed to defend our crown.
Title. That's not how that works. You know how that works. It's a one game between the winner of the Mexican League and the American League.
Shouldn't they then have to play us, whoever wins that, because we are currently the title holders?
This game immediately became useless when the Leagues Cup started. It's just like they started it, and then 2 years later they're like, let's do a Leagues Cup, and now the Campeones Cup still exists. And we're just like, what is this? Like LAFC have a playoff push they're trying to focus on right now. But they're like, no. Go play Leon again. Or whoever they're playing. Is it Tigres?
I think it's Tigres, yeah.
Tigres. I might try to go to the game because it'll be a fun game if I can get seats.
Tigres are fun.
But Tigres will probably buy up all the seats. But yeah, the West is surprisingly much more open in the mid-level range. So the Galaxy still has a shot.
The West has a tight midriff.
The Galaxy also only has 29 games, and all the teams above them have 30 or 31. So
the East is more hourglass shaped.
Right. Yeah, the East is an hourglass, and the West is a what? A midriff.
Has a tight midriff. Yeah, has a 6-pack.
Tight midriff.
It's more like a 12-pack actually.
So we're running it. We're running it down through the playoffs. I guess other news.
I have good news.
Please. I was about to say something I didn't want to even bring up. So please.
I'm probably talking about the same thing. Greg Berhalter and Gio Reyna have spoken.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord Jesus.
I was hoping we would finish this hour without even bringing it up. And then it's like, well, we're only at 40 minutes. So
what a relief, though. What a relief. Oh, they've spoken.
You know what I'd rather talk about, though? Whatever. The mediator, first steps forward. That whole thing is bonkers. I'm just like, I hate all of it. I hate all of it, Bjorn. Here in America, we do things differently, dude. from the Bruce Arena thing to the Gio Reyna thing, it's just like everything is just covered in mediators and law firms. Where in like France or Germany or England or Brazil or anywhere else, it would just be like, this is what happened. The punishment will be dealt tomorrow, and everyone will know what happened.
The passion for litigation is unique in this country. Yeah.
You know, if a player and a head coach don't get along, which we've had many times before, they just talk it out, and then that's it. Then they move on. You know what I mean? It's like it's all the information is there. It happens fast, and it gets resolved pretty fast. You know what I mean? Like we knew about Valbueno's.
Or not, like, or things linger for a lifetime. I think that also is a possibility.
But it's between people. It's between people.
Right.
Here in the United States, it's like they didn't even want, like, they're trying to hide information. Fans and journalists have to kind of figure out what's going on by themselves.
The Bruce Arena thing, the whole New England situation really sets a new standard for wildness. I feel like
crazy.
They're just
and
not
essentially it's blowing up
anything.
The New England the Revolution were about to win this year. They were like top in my mind. They were top of they were going to win the cup this year because they were getting ready for it.
They still could. They don't have
now. I mean, only if for whatever reason they still remember how it goes and they could the spirit of Bruce
could
Arena
be galvanizing. Could be like when Denmark won the Euro after filling in.
That's totally different.
Last second.
The Danish hated their coach. The New England Revolution loved their coach. Like it's the exact opposite.
I'm just saying it's like it's just sort of psychologically the pressure's off. No one expects them to do anything.
You know what's cool? You know what I found in the deep, dark corners of I think Netflix was a Danish movie about the '92 Summer Euros. It was a total Danish recreation of that thing, and it was such a cool movie because I'm a soccer fan, and I was not really around that time, and I read the story. Like who was it? So someone got kicked out.
It was Yugoslavia. They couldn't.
Yugoslavia because of war.
They were.
So Denmark was a replacement qualifier team. They wouldn't have qualified. They'd like call everyone out, tell them like leave Saint Tropez and suit up. We're in the summer tournament, and then they won the whole thing.
Yep,
which was amazing. They beat Germany in the final. But this movie
in the final,
Germans were second place in 1992. They lost. The Danish team beat the German national team. I want to say 2-0 in the final, maybe 1-0 in the final. It was like a fluke kick. They scored and they held and they won. But the movie is very fun. Don't know what it's called, but it has a guy playing Peter Schmeichel. It has a guy playing the Laudrup brothers, and the Danes had a German coach for a long time named I forgot what his name was. It was a German guy. And he quit or was fired a year before, and the longtime assistant took over, and people were really doubting that guy. Like he was under a lot of pressure, a lot of scrutiny. And then it shows him coaching that team, going to the finals, and then changing it up. But there's a scene in the movie where they keep driving past a McDonald's, and one day he's just like, screw it, we're all going to McDonald's. They go, yay! And they get off the bus and they all eat McDonald's, and it's like a bonding moment, and that's kind of why they won the tour. I don't know. It's a fun little movie.
Because of McDonald's. That's great. I'll watch it.
It's a fun little movie. If it's around somewhere.
That was that was wild. Wild story.
Wild story. So anyway, so Gio Reyna and But the bigger stuff I want to keep an eye on is John Anthony Brooks. Because we tell you he's blacklisted. That's kind of why we get a little mention on Reddit, because we have our theories.
You have your theories about
crazy
this.
Theories. And a bunch of people on Reddit thought they don't listen to podcasts, so they assumed I was spewing out facts.
You were talking from having been to the locker room,
right? Which is not at all what I claimed or said. Just some theories. Anyway, John Anthony Brooks is back. By the way, I guess this is more for the Germany hour. But he lost his way, but he's in good shape. Hoffenheim is in great shape. He's a solid stalwart in the back. I mean, name a better center back who's part of the U.S. pool right now.
What?
Name a better U.S. center back than John Anthony Brooks right now, performing at the club level.
Tim Ream.
At the club level. All right, he's probably the one shout. Tim Ream, I think, is a decent shout, but that's really it. So Tim Ream and John Brooks as our two CB pairs in shape. I mean, that's our best CB pair right now. We're only on Chris Richards, who can't get any minutes. Sheffield United lost 8-0 over the weekend. That's the team he's on.
Yeah, that's true.
Thankfully, he wasn't playing, but and then Miles Robinson, who's like, okay, is Atlanta? I don't know.
Walker Zimmerman? No, we don't like
Walker
him.
Zim. Walker Zim's there, but compared to John Brooks right now, who would you rather have, Walker Zim or John Brooks? Who's performing better right now?
I have not. I can't say that I've watched a lot of Hoffenheim.
I mean, again, no disrespect to Walker Zimmerman, but what I'm saying is John Anthony Brooks is one of our best performing center backs again, like he's usually been, and it's curious how
you would like him.
You
would like him back. You'd like him back.
I would definitely like him back. I'm just curious how serious this blacklisting is that they claim does not exist. I'm just very curious. For a while it was easy. He was stinking it up at Benfica. He was stinking it up at Wolfsburg.
Oh yeah, he was quite. He had some bad games last season.
It was easy to not include him, but now, the end of last year and this year, he's back to his old self. And now it's getting hard to not include him anymore. So I'm very curious as to how serious his blacklist is. So we'll see if he gets called in October.
If it's, I mean,
who knows
it's either a blacklist or it's not. If you're blacklisted, you're
maybe it's a gray list. It's a gray list.
It's
what I'm saying
is it's probably just a shit list.
Let me use different words then. U.S. Soccer says everything's fine. They're like, oh, we'll call him in.
I mean, of course, like, what are they going to say? They're going to say,
right? So the blacklist is something that we fans believe exists,
but the blacklist
does not exist.
But the implication, whatever. I guess this is my role in this podcast. I get to defend U.S. soccer. What a shitty job that is. But anyway,
you're here to challenge my crackpot thesis.
Yes, I feel like that is my role.
Good, please.
A blacklist implies that, like, oh, no matter what you do, you will not. It has nothing to do with performance. This is just because you did something wrong. We don't like you. Whatever. You're a communist.
You're a communist, right?
Whatever reason people get blacklisted for historically. So
John Brooks was born in Berlin. I don't know if it was the east side or the west side.
John Brooks was bad. John Brooks didn't have a club for a while.
No, I know.
John Brooks was playing, then he got benched for sucking. It's not like you don't need a conspiracy theory to explain why John Brooks wasn't called into the U.S. national team.
What about now? That was.
Okay,
let's replace that was to is. And now is he was a big reason Hoffenheim destroyed Union.
Well, you're saying that he's back to his old self, and if that's true, then I'm sure he'll get called in again.
Okay, well, October will be the proof of the pudding, so we'll see. Lass uns sehen in October.
Well, there's also, you could also make a case that they want to see a little more of him before they call him in again after he's had like 3 good games. But yeah, okay.
There's a couple more good games. We got games this weekend. All I know is that John Brooks deserves to be called in October based on his form alone. That's what I'm going to say. And if he's still not called in,
I think that it's again one of those the eternal thing about U.S. men's national team. The best players are always the ones that are not currently playing, and then until they then play again, and then it's like, oh yeah, I guess that guy.
Oh, but John Brooks is playing. He's playing.
No, on the team, I mean. But okay.
Yeah.
He's playing. Let's see.
Well, Chris Richards isn't playing, so he's our starting CB. Cameron Carter-Vickers, I think, broke his leg for the year or whatever. He's gone for a while. And we just have our, we got Miles and Walker. And then Mark McKenzie, who Greg has a big hard-on for, who doesn't play much in Belgium at all. He's sort of a little more of a hard head scratcher.
That's a big hard-on for. He didn't make the World Cup squad.
No, but he was close, and he definitely got a lot more playing time than John Brooks.
He made the World Cup squad just as much as John Anthony Brooks. He was as close as John Anthony Brooks was to the World Cup.
I think he was a little closer.
Which is to say, he did not go.
Mark McKenzie was, but I think he was on the final 30 or whatever. John Brooks was long blacklisted by then. But anyway,
this is the Greg Berhalter's paper is very complicated. What? How do I keep? This is the
I don't want
squad.
to.
This is the list of the squad. This is the 30. There's
Yeah,
the
but
blacklist over here. How I gotta just cross-reference.
Yeah, but how that roster selection was weird. Like I'll never understand ignoring Ricardo Pepi and calling on Haji Wright for that tournament. It's such a weird move that time has not justified.
No,
It's on the
that's
opposite.
true.
Ricardo
Yeah.
Pepi coming off the bench scoring.
I think
PSV
that's
over the weekend.
That's
Flo Balogun. Sorry, what are you gonna say?
No, I'm saying that's definitely that was a little bit of a question mark. Now, also again, like Pepe was struggling at the time. Like it's not like he was.
No,
since
he was
then,
not.
Since then, he's done better, but he was not. He was not a.
No,
he was not significantly better than Haji Wright at the time.
True, the numbers like Haji Wright was scoring in Turkey,
Yeah.
and Pepe was scoring.
So it wasn't very
but,
clear cut. And then you can make a case one way or another. And I think you're right that that now, I think in retrospect, and like starting Ferreira against the Netherlands, like those are legit points of contention.
He should have started Ricardo Pepi versus the Netherlands. He was playing in Holland at the time.
He was not he wasn't in the squad though.
Yeah, exactly. My point exactly. And at the time, he really struggled in Augsburg the season before. That's true. However, he was at Groningen that fall, and he was scoring up a storm in Groningen. We're like, oh, he's back, and he did that to earn, and then he never got his spot. It was weird. It's a weird choice, and it was never really time did not justify that choice. So just to saying that Greg's selection is always a little wonky. Florian, the other Yanks abroad news I would bring up is Florian Balogun played his first game for Monaco. He missed 2 penalties.
Yikes.
And he was subbed off at the 60th minute. Oof. So rough introduction to his new club for Flo Balogun. Hopefully he gets on the wagon, gets back in there and crushes it up.
It's a high risk move. Like if you miss a penalty and then you get another one, I understandably you want to say, oh yeah, let's get your confidence back. But then if you miss 2, that's bad.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to take any more penalties for Monaco this year. But he should be scoring goals in free play. That's what we're rooting for. All right, and then Ricardo Pepi at PSV.
What's going on with Pulisic? Is he hurt?
No, he's just being benched because of poor quality. He's perfectly healthy. He just he played. He was the lowest rated player in the Verona game over the weekend, and he was rested for the Champions League game because he lost 5-1 to Inter Milan last Saturday. Remember, Milan was destroyed. So, but again, this is Pulisic. If Pulisic wants to play at world-class clubs, there's going to be 3 players per every position ready to go. The minute Pulisic doesn't show up, he'll get benched. That's on him. Like Thierry Henry has brought up a couple times. Free yourself. Make yourself hard to ignore. It's the old adage.
It was just I was surprised because it seemed like he had done. I'm not a big Serie A.
Yeah, he's been fine.
But he was good first couple games, right? And then he's already.
Yeah, but a season is about 50 games, so he has to be good for all of them. So he's fine. He's just rotating. I'm sure he'll be playing in the next game. I'm not freaking out over Pulisic, but Pully, more assists, more goals, more dominant. Earn your spot. All right, you are a world-class player. Prove it. Earn it. You see your psychologist. Keep your confidence up.
See a psychologist.
Yeah, sports psychologist, very important. Ricardo Pepi at PSV worries me because he is there and he has to bench Luke de Jong, who's like a legend at that club and the team captain. So Ricardo Pepi's I'm curious where his minute, unless Luke de Jong gets injured, curious where Pepi's minutes are coming from. Malik Tillman was not in the PSV Eindhoven game this weekend. Do you know why, Bjorn?
Drunk.
He overslept.
Oh, well, I guess perhaps related to drunkenness.
Probably. Yeah, maybe overslept is a kind way to say he got plastered drunk the night before the big game and slept in. That's the same weekend the Ajax Feyenoord game was called off due to fan unruliness. So missing 2, what's worse, missing 2 penalties or skipping a game because you slept through it?
both quite bad.
Yeah, we're really doing it at the U.S.
Hard to. Well, I guess in neither case you would presume that they did it on purpose. Yeah. I guess oversleeping is really there's no excuse.
Yeah,
for that.
because at least Florian was there. He was at the game and gave his best, and sometimes.
But then again, missing 2 penalties also hard to get past.
Needless to say,
the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing that will both of these things. It's the kind of thing that will stick with you for a while. It's not like you just shake it off and get on with it.
Needless to say, Yanks abroad. Let's do a little improvement next weekend, okay, guys? Let's get up there. Let's start scoring. Let's start assisting.
All right. Well,
let's do it. John Brooks, stay strong. Brandon Aronson, do something. Crying out loud. Your team needs it. All right, that was the USA Hour. We're hopping over the Germany Hour.
Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna make that one shorter.
$5,
maybe.
Like and subscribe. We need subs. People make fun of our low amount of subs.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Help us. Pity sub.
Pity
We're not
sub.
proud. Pity sub us.
Help us out. All right. Cheers.